North Dakota After Dark is proudly brought to you by Endries Construction Services. With over 20 years of experience in all areas of construction, projects that include banks, oral surgery offices, dental offices, schools, retail space, and auto body shops, you name it, they can build it. They offer assistance with all phases of construction from the initial design all the way through completion. You dream it, they make it a reality. Your next project, looking to be a breeze? Call the folks at Endries.
Welcome to North Dakota After Dark, or North Dakota at Dusk, I guess, if we're being very accurate. We are all coming to you from a pretty tight radius today. So we're all in North Dakota. So everyone's here and we're ready. We have another two-time guest today, Margot Miller, and we have a new guest, Max Markowitz. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
You're really more than welcome. We have a very substantial following on this program that is super dedicated to math and numbers. Margot, could you just reaffirm how many times you've been on the show and then how many times Max has been on the show, and explain to us the difference in quantity?
So this will be my second time.
Okay.
Max's first time. Therefore, I am one up on Max.
For local podcast.
For local podcast.
Corey's our fact checker. Does that track?
Carry the 1 divided by the square root of pi. Yeah, it works.
Okay. Great.
Is Margot the first two-time guest?
No.
Oh, I love that. No, that's perfect. I don't need to know
Matt
anything.
Moore.
That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah, but that's Kelly's roommate, so that I'm not sure if that counts.
That fella I live with.
Margot is the first two-time guest who was sober both times.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know if that says anything, or I don't know if I want that to be my.
It is an anomaly for the show.
It fulfills my contractual agreement to make fun of Matt at least once per episode, so check.
Exactly.
Box.
I almost made him a guest host today because he's attempting to pack our boys for our hockey trip tomorrow, and that gives me massive amounts of anxiety. I do not want him. I'm like, please don't help. So I was gonna be like, you know what? Why don't you take the reins and you be a guest host and I'll pack. But I did get him to agree to just watch the hockey game and don't touch the bags.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens.
I think he can do it. I packed our kids for Bismarck and it was fine.
Oh, I do not trust him. It would be like disproportionate amount of pants to shirts, no sweatshirts, not enough undies, and then the matching of the outfits, he just has no respect for. Nothing.
Honestly doesn't matter.
Oh,
No.
so we're talking like packing clothes, not like packing the hockey equipment.
No, packing clothes. Hockey equipment, he's the guy. I let him go through the bags, make sure we've got everything. He's the guy. I depend on him to make sure skates are sharp and all of that, but clothing,
Yeah.
he leaves a little to be desired in that, because there are outfits that go together and there's not. And Matt just goes like, there's a shirt there. So my kids are constantly wearing cement suits, gray pants, gray shirt. And he's like, what's wrong with that? Gray matches gray. I'm like, it does not do that. So
Prison Chic is making a comeback.
that is true.
Yeah.
That is true. But so he did agree to leave the clothing packing alone till I'm done, because we are heading to St. Paul at the ass crack of dawn tomorrow. So
No, that makes sense, because Margot and I are a lot like that. There's times where I come down and I don't know, we're going golfing or something. She just points back upstairs. Nope, that does not. That doesn't.
wow, what an
doesn't
effort!
work.
Try again.
Yeah, exactly. Great effort. Let's try one more.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That is
My wife she's just excited that I, in fact, did put on clothes this time. She's like, yes, you can leave the house.
Yeah, good for you, Corey. We're learning and growing.
Eventually, right? Yeah, that is a very imperfect segue to one of the reasons we're here tonight. Margot, we understand congratulations are in order. You recently started a new position in town. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I took over the Grand Forks Youth Hockey. Well, I didn't take over, I guess, first position of the
Yeah.
girls growth and development director. So probably thanks to you guys, you probably
Instrumental, I would say.
that a little bit. But what the position kind of entails is growing the numbers at the grassroots level for girls hockey, also promoting the development. So I'll be running a couple of camps this spring and summer. We already started a shooting camp that we've been doing at the Icon shooting room that has like 26 girls already for that, ages
Wow.
from 8U to 8U to 12U.
That's
So
great.
that was a fun, different little experience. We're running that Mondays through this month. Just we'll be working on a couple different things, and then the try hockey for free. We got a big push for that. That will be April 21st at 1 p.m. at Icon, and then May 5th, 1 p.m. At Icon. There's flyers that we could probably put out that there's girls' times and boys' times for that. Equipment will be provided. Skates will be provided as well. My goal is to get a good handful of girls there. We're kind of promoting like bring your friend to hockey kind of thing with the girls group. And from that, I'd like to facilitate the girls that signed up for try hockey for free into a learn to play program.
Oh, sure.
Which will run through the summer, kind of similar, like I like what the Hockey Academy did a couple of years ago. You guys did a program like that. Something similar. Intro to hockey, yeah. We'll run that through, hopefully kind of get their confidence, gain their skills, kind of, infatuate them with the game. Plan on what?
Nice work.
Yeah. A lot of syllables.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, Max is like biz nasty. He doesn't have a vocabulary.
No.
We'll be able to provide them free equipment for the summer, so they don't have to worry about expense. That will be at a low cost too. So hopefully we'll be able to kind of keep those girls and retain them and get them signed up for hockey in the fall. Looking forward into the fall, we got some plans for running a big kind of girls youth camp together. I would like a big kind of girls beginning of the year bash, but that's kind of pipe dreams right now. I got like a tree full of ideas, and I got to kind of grab at a branch and what the most important, biggest branch is. But it's been exciting, and a lot of great. I kind of seeing the excitement from the girls. They're kind of really buying into things, so it's an exciting time, and I think a lot of good is going to come of this.
Yeah,
a lot of support too.
Yeah, right. Starting at the grassroots level, like we talked before, we had you on about your experiences with the UND women's hockey team, and now absent that, it's nice to start them at the beginning and find a way to get them engaged and so it's great to have the numbers like that already. And I think definitely getting the Night Riders involved, because that's kind of what the girls are looking up to from the younger ages. We don't have UND anymore, unfortunately, so really getting the Night Riders involved, because that's kind of the highest level for girls hockey here. So at least the 8U girls, 6U girls kind of have something to aspire to, like one day I want to be in those skates and those shoes. So getting more kind of active involvement and more kind of a community feel in the girls hockey community. And just anecdotally, it feels like the Night Riders are pretty involved in the community. Like they show up at a lot of different stuff. So that's
we can do more though. They can do more.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to have some direction then. So and do you mind if Max answers the question as well? Is that
I suppose.
I've been holding my thumb up like this. Okay.
Like blown away. Like I've heard my wife speak before, but like my God, like, did you practice that this morning?
I've had to say it quite a bit in the last few weeks on phone calls. You didn't sound like that on the first
podcast.
I've been answering a ton of questions from different professionals, psychologists, sociologists about the North Dakota After Dark bump, just how it elevates people's games after being a guest, and Margot's obviously a wonderful example of that already. You know what I mean? It hasn't translated to story yet, but
I've been fact checking everything Kyle says, and 85% of it is untrue.
That's pretty good. I'm gonna tell you,
That's a running total. I'm not talking about tonight, so you just keep working whichever way you're going to go with this, Kyle.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. So Max, I know that's not your current position, but you also have a background in women's hockey from your time as a video coach with the UND women's hockey team. Tell us a little bit about your path from the mean streets of West Bloomfield to here.
Oh boy.
There are no details.
Yeah, there's a lot of sky miles and a lot of stories along the way, but I guess the easiest way to put it is, and I never want to admit this on air, so I will never admit it, but I came to a game.
Oh yeah.
I came to a game here to watch Margot play whenever she was playing, and Brian was the head coach, and being from Detroit, I thought that I could speak quite frankly to him. And so I watched one of the games. I think they were playing Bemidji, who was not that great at the time. And I think they maybe won or lost in a shootout, something like that. I remember talking to Margot after the game. I was like, Margot, like, I think I can help the team. Like, I think I can help. And she's like, no, absolutely not. And like, yeah, like a couple weeks went by, and like I just went down and I like talked to Brian, and I was like, hey, Brian. And again, like Brian is from Detroit, so like he kind of understands. I didn't really like sugarcoat it at all. I was just like this young kid, and I was like, hey, Brian, like I watched the game against Bemidji. You guys really like, you guys weren't that good, but like I think that I can help. I can be the difference maker. And so Brian, like he just kind of laughed in my face, you know. He's like, all right, well, if you want to help, kid, like sure, like here, like we have this for you to do.
Red Wings lost.
Oh shoot.
So so Brian, he was like, yeah, well, it's like, hey, if you want to help, like we have this like video stuff, like really nobody knows how to like work it. So like if you can figure out how to work it, like that'd be great help. And so like was pretty motivated, just kind of sat down and figured it out. And I think I did 4 or 5 years with UND on the women's side.
You missed the key.
That Margot had her best year ever, her senior year, whenever I was on staff. No big deal.
Key factor to this story is Brian asked my permission if Max was allowed to come onto the coaching staff. So essentially, he has me to thank.
Right.
Because I could have been like, no thanks.
Yeah.
It's a lot of power.
I know.
I know. So yes. So that had kind of transpired, and 4 or 5 years. Oh my god.
Mine does the same thing every episode. So I'm so glad someone else's cat is doing this.
we are embarrassing.
Yeah.
So Brian, he gave the blessing. I figured out how to work the computer stuff. A lot of trial and error, and a lot of yelling at Exos was the company. And a lot of good lessons learned through that, actually. And I remember one time I was on the phone with Exo, something wasn't going wrong, and I was just yelling at him. And I felt that like it made me look stupid, like I didn't know how to work it, when in like actuality, like it was a program not really doing what it was supposed to do. And I walked out of the conference room there, and Brian, he's just laughing in his office, and he's like, hey, come here. So I go sit down on his couch. He's like, did that make you feel better? I was like, yeah, you know what? Actually, it did. He's like, yeah, like, what did you get accomplished with that, though? I was like, absolutely nothing. He's like, so there you go. Like, that's a good life lesson. Every once in a while, you eat it. And so, but yeah, so my time at UND, it was unbelievable with Fabes and Peter and Mac and everybody. We had such a good staff, and still to this day, honestly, I can say this, and we talk about it all the time, from top to bottom, from strength coach to athletic trainers to assistant coaches to, you know, head coach. It's the best staff that I've ever worked for.
What about the equipment guy?
Kevo?
Yeah.
Kevo was a glue guy. He was he knew how to toe the line. He was always like, oh, let's have a couple beers, guy, or oh, this is a serious let's be serious here. Like, Kevo was a glue guy. And whenever the tensions were high, he would always come in with, you know, a movie quote. He would always come in with, the Vikings game, and everyone would start talking about the Vikings, completely forget about hockey. Kevo was absolutely the glue guy, 100%.
Good. Actually, we are trying to get Kevin on the show too, but he's a tough get.
Oh, Kevo, yeah, 100%. And I mean, if you do it, I mean, obviously all of Kevo's close friends know about Kevo time, so
Yeah.
you can say 8:30, but it's probably closer to 9 that you're going to get on the air.
I actually I understand that he's written a book called Kevo Time, and my wife has read it 18 times because that is also her deal.
Wow. And that was Kevo time before 2 kids. So
Yeah. Only better
that's,
now.
oh, we got another
Another
animal.
cat.
That makes
I
it
told you, this
Yeah.
cat is obsessed with me. Also, these two are not going to get it because they're not pet people, but do you guys have a Maine Coon?
Yes.
Oh, I'm dying of jealousy.
Yes,
I'm
massive.
gonna come over and pet that cat. So,
Absolutely.
Oh, no, we have another one.
We have
too.
2 of them.
oh, okay, all right. If you guys see me parked outside your house, don't make it weird. Just invite me in.
I would also, just for the record, like to say that we have, well, not we, she has 3 cats.
Yeah, but your mom has other ones.
So she has 3 cats. Each one of them has been like, I've never met them until after a year that they've lived at her house. So like she gets them whenever I go away for the hockey season, and then all of a sudden I come home and there's a cat.
Yeah.
So my mom, grandma, has the first cat that we got. She grew slowly attached to that, and there was no getting it back. And then
Yep.
Margot got the 2 Maine Coons, what, 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
I love it.
yeah.
It could be worse. You know, if you leave and they come back in a cat, it's not the worst thing that could happen. I was gone for a work trip, just got back today, ended up having to get stuck at work until about 7:45, and I walked in the door and my wife said, you know, I'm really starting to enjoy the peace and quiet.
Oh, I
I
missed
get-
you
I
too,
get
sweet
9 months
sweetheart.
of it, so
Oh,
it's
yeah.
pretty nice. I get 8 to 9 months of it, so it's pretty nice.
Oh yeah.
So back to you, Margot. When you were a senior, what was the #1 piece of advice Max imparted to you via video?
You know, a lot of
Can't think of anything.
it's very interesting because I would wake up from my like, you know, pregame nap, and I'd have a text from my boyfriend at the time, like, "Hey Miller, we have 10 clips that you got to come down and see in the coach's room." You can't say no, so it's like, but even from like Max has always had a knack for that video and the kind of analytical kind of stuff. Like I remember he'd come to my games at Shattuck and he would write down like 10:57 in the first period, you had blue line turnover. And then we would go over it after and be like, this is what you did. This is how you're next time you should approach that play. So he's always been like 5 steps ahead, like looking at the game, like watching a hockey with him is so annoying. So I don't really know if he's giving me he's rewinding the game. Like, did you see that breakout? I'm like, Max, I just want to watch as a fan sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
I have to always be in coach mode. But I don't really know if he's giving me advice per se. I would say more advice as a coach, like, and kind of like approaching situations and how like what the purpose of your drills are and stuff like that. So I'd say he's helped me more as a coach than a player, more I would say.
I would probably agree with
Yeah.
that.
But I don't really know. I think obviously he has a wealth of knowledge. I hate to say that, but you know, sometimes when we talk hockey, I think, you know, his head gets a little big that he has to remember I played as well. I'm not just a stupid like no hockey person. He like talks to me like I'm a peasant sometimes. So sometimes, like I have played hockey as well. Like, you know, like but I don't know if like there's a specific piece of advice. He just always was, you know, supportive and sometimes a little too overbearing, giving me feedback. It's like sometimes you can just be the supportive boyfriend. Like if I want to complain and bitch about my ice time, like be like, yeah, like that sucks. Like, you know, mother up the coach a little bit, not like you need to do this, you need to do that.
Gotta play better.
Gotta play
more,
better.
right?
Like you gotta
Yeah,
execute.
play
It's
better,
like, come on, Max. Like
good first pass. That's how you get more ice time. Come on.
If you guys could survive that, you're gonna be together forever.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, allow me to pick apart your game.
Oh yeah.
Please.
Kelly, you should tell them what it's like playing volleyball with your husband as a new volleyball.
I feel for you because my husband coaches and then thinks that I am looking for constructive criticism as well, and I'm like, no, No, I'm not looking for a mini lesson here, Matt. Thanks so much. If you just approach it like this, I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. That's gonna be bad for you. So let's not do that.
Yeah.
We're able to separate most things. Hockey's the hardest one, but like when we go golfing, for example, she'll be like, "What did I do wrong?" I'm like, "I have no idea. I know nothing. Like, let's figure it out together." Like I have no idea. Yeah. So like everything else, like we're completely just like it's all funsies, but like when it comes to hockey, it's like even whenever like we skate together, like whenever we're like coaching together. Like I already showed you the drill. Like you don't need to watch me draw it up. Like go move the pucks around. Like what are you doing? Like you're an assistant coach out here. Go move some stuff around. Like help me out. Like, you don't need to watch me draw it. Like, we already talked about it last night. So still with the hockey, like we kind of we go at it, but
it's a separate part of your marriage.
He knows how to press my buttons. I could bring up the blue puck discussion, but
no, I think that's an interesting question.
This will get me nice and heated.
Like I want to bring it up.
Do it.
Yeah. So somebody that I had worked with previously had asked me, like, for the PWHL, could they play with a blue puck? And I had just thought that's actually an interesting point because, like in basketball, obviously they play with a different size ball. Like the 3-point line is different. Even in softball, like the dimensions are different. Like all those sports, like there's so many instances where there is different dimensions on the field, court, there's different balls, different everything. So I didn't say that I was a proponent of it. I just said that's an interesting question. I just said that's an interesting question. So Margot and I have been battling about that for a little bit. I've been playing devil's advocate.
I was like, essentially, Max, you want me to shoot the same puck as a 6-year-old was shooting? Like that's what you're saying to me. Like,
well, what is the difference? Is like 2 ounces or something like
that. Is it 4.5 or 4 ounces? Those pucks?
No, I think I looked it up, and it is like I think I'd have to look it up again, but I think it was 2 ounces because I was like,
I think the regular blue puck is 6, and then the regular hockey puck is like 8 something.
Okay. I don't know.
Without fact checking it, of course.
Yeah, we need a fact checker.
Without fact checking it, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Or it was 4 and 6, something like that. But it was an interesting topic, and when you look like deeper into it, and obviously this kind of ties into like Margot's role, but like with the shooting camp and stuff like that. So like a lot of the girls, whenever they start off playing hockey, they start off, generally because their brothers play or because somebody in the family, dad played, whatever. So whenever they get a stick, a lot of times it's a hand-me-down. So it's the 100 flex stick with the straightest curve possible. And they learn to shoot. And when they learn to shoot, they learn to shoot with their arms. They don't really know how to flex their stick and really how to manipulate their stick. And a lot of times too, like the coaching on the women's side at the younger levels, it's getting better, but a lot of times, again, it's just like, hey, who wants to do it? Oh, okay, this guy says that he's going to do it, so they do it. So it was just an interesting thing to help make the game. I don't even know how you would put it. Just because it's exciting whenever you watch. It's exciting whenever you watch, but like it doesn't, like people want to see the goals and they want to see the oomph behind the shots and everything like that. That's why it was brought up to me. So it's an interesting.
So yeah, he likes to get me fired.
It's an interesting thing.
I fact checked it. It is 2 ounce difference. A black hockey puck is 6 ounces and a blue hockey puck is 4 ounces. Same dimensions, same size, just 2 ounces lighter.
Yep. And obviously for like girls like Margot, like it's a lot different. Like you grew up playing with the black puck the whole entire time, and like everyone that plays in the PWHL and everything now, like 100%. But like if you were to start that from the younger ages, like I don't know. It was an interesting thing. That was all.
I'd said there could be an intermediate puck. How about a 5 ounce puck? Like I don't want to play the same puck that 6-year-olds are playing with.
I agree.
Max, I know you've listened to the show before. I don't know what your familiarity is with legal principles, but I also know you're not looking directly into the camera to see Margot's eyes. But right now, she's hit all the prima facie factors of murderous intent in her eyes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it gets me heated.
No. And so part of the reason, like, and every single time that like we go out with like a new group of people that I haven't seen since I've been home, like it's one of the very first things that get brought up, because like I just love to get Margot fired up about it. But there's also some pretty like smart people and some sane people that are like, okay, like
We haven't
maybe.
talked to any high level women's hockey players about it.
No.
So
No.
it's
We talked to Tori Williams.
You might
about
get a
it.
different
yeah,
answer.
Tori was on my side. She's like, that's stupid.
Shout out to Tori for the new baby.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah, new baby.
Yes.
Yep.
And
Also,
I don't want
prospective
to.
guest.
I don't want to fire ricochet shots at Tori, but Tori couldn't shoot a hockey puck either. So
Okay, I can imagine the Lammer sisters shooting a blue hockey puck, like split in half.
yeah,
like,
but they would have easily probably would have had
No.
30 more goals.
pull them. They think it's stupid.
They would probably think it's stupid. I'm not saying that I'm for it. I'm just saying it's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
It is. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have those topics of discussion. Is the hot dog a sandwich? Right? You can fight about that all day.
Yeah.
I was fought about in the hockey academy room for well over a year.
It was written on the board for years.
Yes.
We got derailed.
Sorry. Yeah, we.
But that's fine. That's we don't. We
That's
do.
what we're here for.
As I say, no show prep. So
Yeah.
Nope.
A hot dog is in fact a sandwich, and moving on.
I rest my case.
with some authority.
I can get behind that. The whole like pineapple on pizza thing, which was also a hot topic at Hockey Academy. I don't know if I can get behind that.
No,
Love it.
definitely not.
The at the Max, you saw the start of the 2011 practice today. There's still 4 Hockey Academy jerseys that show up regular at those. So
Okay, so Jeremy O'Keefe. So obviously Jeremy, and then for people that don't, he used to work at the Hockey Academy. He used to work at the UND women's team. He works at Training House in Minneapolis.
yeah,
And he texted a group chat maybe a week ago, and he's like, "Yeah, there was one of those like unbelievable CCM like dry fit Hockey Academy shirts that we used to have." He's like, "Yeah, I saw one of those at the Training House. I had no idea who it was." And like I went up to the kid and like, "Hey, are you from Grand Forks?" He's like, "No, like I'm from out west somewhere." And he's like, "Yeah, but like I used to go and I loved it there." It's like I didn't know that those shirts were still around. Like I would pay probably $100 for that shirt. That shirt was unbelievable.
I got
I can't
one.
believe it. Yeah, I can't believe it was getting
We
away.
did. Those are some Goodwill shirts, unfortunately.
But the number one thing, I take it everywhere with me, the Hockey Academy socks that were
The
given.
white socks.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
tall.
Yes.
Those are the best socks for
Yeah.
your skate, bar none. I have probably 100 pair that I take with me every
Well, that's
single
where they
year.
went.
Yeah.
But
A
those-
box went missing.
yeah,
Don't
That
tell
is-
Homer.
that is bar none the best
Actually,
thing that ever
those
came out.
predated Ulmer by 4 years.
Yeah, that was
really?
Carl.
Oh,
That was
those are
Carl
old.
days, yeah.
Those are old.
Yeah, we got those off the internet from some sketchy website. Carl was into it. Eli at the time was not a fan. Not of the product, but not of the e-commerce that went into creating those socks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yet they endure.
Did you have to pay through a Western Union one-sided payment?
We did. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Just
one of
the-
those, you place the order and you're thinking, I hope we get them, but there's
I
a
don't
really
know.
good chance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Yeah.
He said he was the king of Tangier and he had an excess of socks.
It's not that far off. It was yeah,
But you
interesting.
struck gold. All right.
I can tell you
Gambled and you won.
the worst thing that I ever got from the Hockey Academy. I don't know if you remember this. There was the winter jackets.
Yeah.
They came and they must have came in a truck that was also carrying fish.
Yeah.
Oh no.
They smelled like raw salmon. Like you could not get rid of the smell. Like they were unusable. But they were really nice jackets.
They were
They were
really
nice and warm. I donated mine finally. I couldn't take it anymore.
No. There was no getting rid of that.
Yeah.
But they were really nice jackets, really thoughtful. So that was nice at least.
Yeah.
But the socks are
One of those things where you're like, maybe I could just get through it. And then you realize, no, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't get through it.
I'll wear my own jackets. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm pretty sure Corey's boy wears the THA jersey to practice.
Yes, still does. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hockey Academy. RIP. That was
Great times.
great times. Some really good people through
Yeah.
Hockey Academy, which is actually, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. That is one office I'm glad that was not wired for sound based on some of the
Yes.
discussions.
So am I.
Yeah.
Got me through college, that's for sure.
Yeah, right.
For a couple extra bucks that I made.
Yeah, lots of fun. So Max, you coached on the UND women's team, and then coached at the international level on the women's team, or various women's teams, and then have also coached on the men's side. Any thoughts on the differences between the two, or like what lessons did you bring from video coaching when you made the switch?
Well, I always tell people, and like we always talk about, like the most interesting thing with the women is like a lot of times they're more at that level, at the high levels like that. Like they're they're technically sound. Like they do a lot of things really, really well that like you're like, wow. Like it doesn't matter if you're a guy or a girl, like that's really good. And because at the end of the day, like if they mess up or, if they have a bad stick or whatever, they can't just run you over. So like a lot of times, like the things that I learned from that are so technical about stick position, about skating, about your stride, about, taking the 2 extra steps to get somewhere instead of just reaching. And a lot of that, I mean, was Brian, but Peter was crazy with the individual skills and just being able to nitpick a lot of those things. And so I really felt like that's what was kind of like my separator whenever I went to the men's side at the very start, was just like all the little details. And because whenever I went, like my first year on the men's side pro, I was a video coach. And so like I didn't really do so much like on ice coaching. Like I was on the ice, but it was more of like for like after practice and stuff like that. But then the next year when I went to the ECHL, and it was all about taking those guys that were drafted and helping them get to the American League and eventually get to the NHL. Like a lot of them, if there's 5 tools to get to the NHL, like they were really good at 2 of them, or they were really good at 3 of them. And they needed to get better at 4 and 5, and to be able to be like, oh, like, this is an easy fix, so to say, like, okay, we can pinpoint the problem. We just need to work on it, and to be able to show them in video, but to be able to at least have an idea of that detail of what it takes. A lot of that, honestly, is probably from the women's side, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Margot, brief follow-up, a little shout out to Peter Elander, new national champion on the women's side.
Yeah.
I have only heard, and I've only been listening halfway, how many Peterisms has Max thrown out in the interview so far?
Oh, he's got a lot of them.
I've heard 100% and a couple unbelievables, which seem like
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable good.
Unbelievable.
Good. Yeah.
Or just no.
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 The best Peterism ever that I think that always still gets brought up is like, do they not see it? They can't see it? They can't see the play? It's right there. How can they not see it?
I think that was a good question, Kyle. Like some stuff that Max has said to me too is like he's coached some like high level like male athletes, and you kind of said like, I don't know what the thumbs up is, but you kind of said that like the girls would do it kind of more for like the love of the game, where a lot of the guy players that you coach at the higher level like was more like, well, this guy's got an ego or like getting paid, but like where the girls are like, we're not getting paid. Like you mentioned that quite a bit to me.
Well, and you know, it's interesting on the guys' side too. And I'm sure that obviously, you know, as your guys' kids get older, you know, you start to see, you know, players that have a skating coach, they have a skills coach, they have their own strength coach. And then like they're trying to fit all three of those coaches into what they do in the, you know, fall and winter. And the interesting thing with that is it's like, that's all great and you should have that. And if you have the resources for it, that's great. But you still have to play in the system of your winter team or your, you know, club team. And just because your skills coach is telling you, oh, well, you know, you should fake backhand and you should throw this pass through the middle of the ice. Well, if your coach that controls your ice time doesn't want you doing that, then you need to find another. So like a lot of times when you deal with the guys, it's like, well, that's great that you say that, but you know, this guy, he doesn't say that. So I don't know.
John Cooper used to tell a story like that too. When he first got into coaching, he'd run into guys like that all the time. And so, yeah.
And so, but then like, as I've transitioned to like coaching in Europe, well, like a lot of times too, like there's bonuses just for winning games. So like you get, you know, X amount of dollars just for winning games. So like, you know, a lot of these guys are like, nah, I don't care. You know, we win, I get $3,000, you know, and I'm already getting X amount of dollars on top of this. So like, I don't really care. It's working. So that's what we're going to do. It's like, okay. Like, so that part is, yes, that part is very true. And it's one thing that you start to notice as you transition from the girls to the guys. Like a lot of them, you know, like Margot said, they really do play for the love of the game because they do love it.
All that talk about different skill coaches feels like a really good entree for Kelly to say something mean about Minneapolis.
Go in there tomorrow. You know, I mean, it's its own world down there. They think they're better than everybody. And we very much get that vibe. Like I said, I don't fit in with the Minneapolis moms. I don't have a Louis Vuitton purse. So I'm going to feel all weird, but so be it, you know? So I'm walking into that world again this week. I'm actually excited for Winnipeg for that exact reason. Yeah. I'm like, you know what's great about Winnipeg? It's not Minneapolis.
Winnipeg sucks. I'll go on the record. Winnipeg's.
Oh.
Don't like visiting that place.
No, it's not great, but I like that it's geographically closer. That's all it takes to sell me is I'm like, less of a car ride, we'll go. Caesars in the rink, I'm done. I'm in. That's all I needed.
Corey, do you want to ask these guys about the Detroit Tigers, your Central Division rivals?
Well, their game was suspended against the Twins today due to weather, but you know, on the plus side, the Athletics are winning 1-0, which is a Christmas miracle. So, you know, let's take that.
The Las Vegas Athletics of Palo Alto. Yeah. What's their name now?
They're the Sacramento Athletics. Actually, they're just the Athletics when they moved to Sacramento because they're not allowed to give a city name. So, you know. But here, how about an actual question? So, Max, Margot, yeah, shocker, right? You guys talked about coaching players that don't want to be coached for whatever reason. Yeah, I don't have any experience at the high levels, but I've had some experience coaching younger kids in baseball who just, they really, for lack of a better phrase, they don't want to take any coaching whatsoever. Have you ever been able to get through to a player like that or work with players and find some common ground to teach someone who really just doesn't want to be coached?
Let's see what the real coach has to say about that one. I mean, the way I approach that is, you just kind of have to, why? I guess like their why is, you know, it's a lack of confidence. So they kind of have like a wall built up. Kind of got to build at least an assistant coach role. Like I try to build a rapport to like, you know, more of like not like a friend, but like, hey, I'm here to support you and whatever you kind of want to do. And whether if they're not taking like your stern kind of instruction, I take kind of a more like, you know, I would say like stroking the cat instead of like rubbing the cat up back, you know, the fur up backwards that way. And so kind of like, I wouldn't say like winning them over, but like, hey, I'm here to support you and kind of get you better. And usually those kind of more stubborn or hard-headed kids, eventually their walls will break down. That's just kind of how I approach that. But I don't know what the professional has there. A little bit different from boys to girls too.
It is and it isn't. So for me, the interesting thing is I've worked at a lot of different levels of pro. And so for instance, like when I worked in the ECHL, it was very easy to kind of get through to those players, because at the end of the day, like you're pretty much threatening their job, their paycheck, because you try and be nice about it, and you try and like have conversations and explain why and everything like that. But at the end of the day, it's very easy just to skate up to them and be like, hey, listen, like if you don't get this in a week, like I'm getting somebody else. Like there's a million.
Two different methods here.
No.
Friend method.
No,
we're gonna
but
cut you.
no, but with
Two
that
different
being,
approaches.
no. But with that being said, though, as you start to go up into the higher levels of pro, that's unrealistic, because a lot of these guys are making a lot of money, and then a lot of them are drafted, and you can't just say, hey, we're going to get rid of you if you don't get it. So then it kind of turns into a lot of like what Margot said. And I think like my approach has always been straight honesty. And it's one thing that I learned from the guy that I worked with my first year in the ECHL, was just to be honest with guys, because a lot of times it won't come back to bite you if you're honest. And so when you have to skate up to a guy, and I'll never forget this, it was one of our very, very first games, and he's like, hey, you're going to go tell these guys that they're not playing. all right. And so the first time whenever you do that, you think like, oh, I got this, no problem. So you kind of skate up to them, and always the first question is like, well, why am I not playing? And it takes you back the first time, because like really at the end of the day, the easiest thing to do is think, oh well, he said that you're not playing, that's why you're not playing. But like
that'd be me. It wasn't my decision.
Yeah, I don't make that decision.
It's that
I'm the
guy.
assistant coach. I don't. But you learn, and you get a lot further with guys whenever you're honest, and you're like, hey, listen, like, you know what, we feel like you're not moving the puck to the second layer as quick as you can be. Like, we feel like you're not closing your gap very well. Like, that's why you're not playing. And if you want to work on those things, like, come to me and we'll start working on those things. And you can start to take that approach through, honestly, just brutal honesty. Like, and that's how I found the best success, is just being honest. And then, with that, obviously they start to appreciate that. They know where they stand, they know what's coming, and then they start coming to you for like, oh, okay, like, well, what did you think about my game last night? Or what do you think about this? And you start to build that rapport. So for me, it's always just been honesty.
I think, Max, you make a good point though too, with kids, with, like you said, they have so many people now telling them what to do. Like it comes from so many different places. I know my husband, even with high school, he'll go, hey, you got to do this. Well, my dad said I should be doing this, and like Matt's like, I don't want to insult somebody's dad,
Yeah, exactly.
It's their damn dad, but you're right. They have a lot of feedback from a lot of different places, and that can be hard to navigate, like, well, who should I listen to? And I think that kind of ties into Corey, where you were saying, like some kids that don't seem very coachable, but I think could be too, because they get so overstimulated with input that they feel like, do I listen to this guy? Do I listen to this guy? So, I mean, that can be hard to navigate for kids, but you're right, Max, like it ultimately, you can pick and you can choose, but the guy who's controlling your playtime, you're going to have to kind of do, at least kind of what they want, or it's not going to be a great season. So,
well, and so like I experienced that, to be honest with you, I experienced that a lot more on the women's side, in the sense of, taking feedback from, everybody, whether it's dad, whether it's brothers, whether it's, grandpa that used to play, or anything. And, with those players, generally a lot of times, dad played high enough to be dangerous, to know a little bit. And, so did the brothers, or so did this person. And, again, it comes that honesty of like, that's great. And there is a time and there is a place for that advice, but you do have to understand, like, you have to play within the systems and the structures and the habits that we're asking for here in order to play. And usually, you know, it depends on the person. Sometimes it's a 1 or 2 time conversation. Sometimes it's weeks and months, and then they finally start to understand, you know, as it goes halfway through the season, well, how come I'm not playing in the last minute of the game? How come I'm not doing this? How come I'm not doing this? And so with the video, for example, like, it's always easy just to sit there, show them a couple clips and say, listen, in our system, this puck goes from the goal line to the top. Like, it goes from low to high, no matter what. And you're putting it back behind the net. Like, if I can't trust you to do this, and now everybody else can't read off of you, how can I put you out on the ice? And generally, you know, they start to understand. So, like, it is that honesty. It is that incredibly honest feedback, and that's what it takes a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I understand it's harder said than done. Trust me, I know.
Now, Margie, you played with people from all over the place, and Max, you've coached people from all over the place. Have you noticed any trends in terms of nationalities, like who gets that approach better than the other, or not? Are we not? Are we not?
You probably could answer, Max, but I have a.
I'm sorry, I missed that, Margot.
No, I think French Canadians can be a little difficult at times.
Très difficile, is that what you're saying?
Difficult.
So for me,
but
like,
it could be a language barrier a little bit too. I don't know.
Like, we used to always have a saying, like, you know, the kids from Ontario, like, they're so soft, and, you know, they just want to score and blah blah blah, and they don't want that. But the Western Canadians are always the best. The Western Canadians, like, they'll run through a wall for you. They'll do whatever you say. Like, the Western Canadians are always the best in my experiences.
No, that's starting the Western Canada on the eastern border of Saskatchewan and moving west, right?
Starting from there.
I mean, generally you are right. It is the Sask, Alberta. Yeah.
You want to give Manitoba like 50 miles just to include Tori, or do you want to just tell her to pound sand?
I think Tori's one of those kids that would run a wall down for you.
I mean, there's a couple, you know, Brandon, there's a couple kids that I've had that could go both ways, but, like,
I know a couple of those girls from Brandon like that too.
Yeah. So, like, yeah.
What are the Russian players like?
Yeah.
That's what I gotta know. What are the Russian players? I mean, serious? They seem like a serious people, like, not a lot of joking going on.
They're very straight faced. They're very but no, they're kind of the same thing as their gripe is always with North Americans of, like, you guys grew up with so many resources. And again, it goes back to the overall conversation of, like, you guys grew up with skating coaches, and you guys grew up with this and that. And, you know, I still remember there was one girl that actually played for the Russian national team. She learned to play hockey with a stick and, like, a rock, like one of those, like, baseball stories.
That's a real Russian story right there. Like,
yeah. And, like, she is like one of the best players in the world, hands down. Like, she's an unbelievable hockey player. But, like, her gripe with North Americans is, like, oh, they don't work hard. They have all these resources. They don't do anything with them. And so they're very, like, they work hard. A lot of times, like, with the Russian players, like, you honestly, like, you have to grab them and you have to be like, hey, no, like, you don't need to ride the bike for 45 minutes today. You don't need to go out for this 20 minutes skate. Like, you don't need to do this. They're very, very serious about, like, working on their game, being better. And then, I mean, really, at the end of the day, whenever you have a day off, like, you want to try and keep a leash on them, because they like to go out too. So you gotta
work hard, play hard.
They like to have their fun too. So, like, you got to keep a leash on them on the days off. But when they work 100%.
So you worked in Russia and China. With the language barrier, how did you know what the chirps were?
You figure those ones out very quickly. Those
Learn
are
the
usually
swear words first.
yeah, that, and then I probably know how to order a beer in like 80 languages now. So like those are kind of the first ones that you get, the swear words. The sarcasm thing is usually pretty international. They might not know what you're saying, but they know that it's not necessarily good. So the sarcasm one, that usually plays pretty good, but yeah, usually they're pretty good at teaching you the valuable words first.
Nice. Anything common in either of the areas to chirp on? You know, here we get anything from your teeth to your skates. So I'm curious what goes on over there.
The chirps are in China and Russia.
Usually the first kind of couple things are always about the style.
Okay.
So like, you know, obviously Ovechkin, he's huge. So like, you know, the yellow laces were huge in Russia for a long time. And you're like, whoa, really? Ovi's the only one that does that. Like nobody does that. Like, you know, they also, kind of the same thing. Like there's that story on Pasternak, and he's from the Czech Republic, but about how he tapes his stick. So, you know, he is like, well, whenever I grew up, like we didn't have money for tape. So that's why, like, you know, I just kind of zigzag it like that. And so like a lot of those guys, like they have like those quirks about them and their style and stuff. And when you ask them, it's just like, this is what I've always done. This is what I had. So this is what I do. Doesn't mean I don't make fun of it, but like, so, but no, for the most part, it usually rests on their style, to be honest with you.
Do you think the girls are more savage than the boys? Like some of the stuff that comes out of the girls' mouths.
Yeah.
Like I still to this day, I think girls are so mean.
Yeah.
Like I said that on my last podcast. So like I was like, I think Maxwell could confirm that too. Like
100%.
Girls are vicious.
They're like, and even like with teammates and stuff, like there's no like lightheartedness and there's no like, hey, like it's just straight to the heart kill shots. It's like
cut right to the bone. Yeah.
Yeah, like
and
oh my god.
Like girls do like research and they will like go back and bring up your ex from 5 years ago and like, they're just like undigging graves.
They did their homework.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I heard a vicious one about one of your ex teammates over the weekend, Margot. I don't want to repeat it. It is so mean. I don't even want to repeat it.
What is
not
going
repeatable.
Oh, I'm not even going. It was just so mean.
Can you at least tell us who it's about?
It was someone mentioned a marital dispute, and someone came back with a dead parent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 That's going hard.
Yeah.
I think I was on the team for that one, maybe.
You were definitely on the team for that.
Yeah.
So
I
remember that.
Yeah, impressive homework. You know what I mean? I like the preparation level.
Yeah, right.
Like fuck you, fuck
like,
you. It's like,
you're on the I like remember being on the ice, like, do we have to go there? Like, why did you have to like,
Hey, that was really
what are you
neat.
doing? Like, come on. Like there's just I think there's at some point in time too, there's just a mutual respect that you want to get in someone's head. It's just like, come on.
I will say,
like, you know,
the guys are way funnier.
It's
but like the girls, they're just like, oh my god, wow.
Well, the only good thing about my daughter deciding not to play hockey last year was at least it kept her out of jail. She's gonna be one of those. If she's still playing, I don't know if she ever actually played hockey, but she did skate around trying to kill people. And she was 9 when she last played hockey.
Yeah.
It's a good way to make a living.
Yeah, half the battle.
right?
Wow. The interesting thing with the girls though is like, you know, they're exposed to such a wide variety of like age groups growing up that like for Margot, like if you're a 14-year-old playing 19, you like think about the difference.
You think about the night riders, we have 8th graders with 18-year-olds, like so you just get
all kinds of stuff.
You get a big education really fast.
Right into it pretty quickly, like.
You know, like you're not sitting in the locker room with other 11-year-olds. Like you come in there and like you're hearing some of these things, you got to be like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, like on the girls' side, like it's easy to see why they
Yeah,
are
like I remember
ruthless like that.
coming in, I played up on a 19U team and I was like 15. And like what some of these girls were talking about, I'm like, I'm like, what? And it's not like you can go to your mom and be like, what is this? Like,
Yeah.
what are they
Oh.
talking about? Like,
I've never even heard this word
no,
before.
it's like,
So like just the different stores at 12 Oaks and Novi, is that what you're getting?
no. Yeah, let's say just shit got weird.
Which, by the way, is still for me a top 3 mall
Yeah.
of all time.
What about Oakland Mall? That has the best
But-
stores of stuff that I probably shouldn't go into.
Yeah, 100%.
You want a yellow fur coat? Oakland Mall's
Yeah.
got you covered.
Yeah,
You got it.
yeah. That was the one that's across the street from Pirani's, the big Pirani's.
Right by in Troy there, yeah.
Yeah. So
It's not Somerset.
no, you're talking about Somerset.
Is this
Somerset
Oakland
is in-
Mall? Like down
Somerset is in
That's
Somerset
like the
is in
Skyway.
Troy.
Skyway?
Oakland Mall, I'm pretty sure is like Livonia area.
Yeah, I was like,
I got the name wrong then. It's right down by the rink on Big Beaver there. It's right around.
Yeah,
Big
no,
Beaver
then
and
you're talking about
Somerset.
Somerset.
Is
Yeah,
it
you're
okay?
talking-
I messed up the name.
Somerset is
I
the bougie mall, yeah.
my dad is the city manager of Troy. You know,
Yeah,
we always
yeah,
have to go-
yeah.
we always have to go and shop at Somerset to get
Oh,
those
yeah.
taxes.
Okay. Well,
That's-
anyways,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah.
I'm
They
just
had
gonna
sweatshirts that said,
derail
give her
it
the
again.
D. I'm like, well, this is my type of place. So
That is Margot's dad's. That's his claim to fame. He
Yeah.
brought Hooters to Troy. He was the
Yeah.
one that approved it.
Really proud of that.
seems statue worthy to me.
He's exactly the legend around those.
Yeah.
parts.
Just holding up a chicken wing in triumph, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was pretty pumped when he got Lululemon. He had the brag to me and my sister.
Yeah,
Like, hey, you know?
as one does, right?
That
Yeah.
is cool.
The so one of the other thing going back to the UND women's hockey time, can you touch on some of the I'd heard anecdotal stories about the 2 assistant coaches in traveling and their choices in meals, and I've heard some very humorous stories in that regard. Is that something you can elaborate on, Max or Margot? Have you been-
We were so secluded from the coaches
Okay.
that I have no idea. So Max will.
Well, I mean, so my thing with that was like, it was always funny because, you know, Kevo, he was unbelievable at that stuff. And there was never like, Brian never had to check on him or anything like that. But there was the one time we were going to Maine or Vermont.
I don't think I was on the team.
No, you were on the team. We were going to Maine and we flew through the Detroit airport. And so they went to go pick up the subs. So they, you know, got subs in the Detroit airport. They ordered ahead or whatever. And so we were up there with Kevo at the counter and the guy's like, yeah, it's going to be about like 15 more minutes.
I do remember this.
Kevo's like, what? Like, no, like we ordered like 2 weeks ago. Like I confirmed with your like
I do
manager.
remember this.
And the guy's like, yeah, I know, but like we're grinding back here.
Oh god.
Grinding, like you're making 20 subs. Like, what are you talking about? It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. There's nobody here. And he's like, 20 subs. He's like, I just made 91 ham and cheese
So they
sandwiches.
did it by the numbers. And like 80 turkey and cheese.
Yeah.
15
So
salami.
on the sign up sheet, it would be like number 8. What do you want? Number 91.
Oh
what do you want?
no.
So like they made like 91 individual like ham and cheese sandwiches, no onions, no this, no that. And at some point, like Kev was like, don't you think that you guys would call? Like, do you really think that we wanted 91 sandwiches of just this? Like that's gotta be 2
We
months
make what
worth
we
of,
see.
yeah, like that's gotta be 2 months worth of like sandwich meat for you guys. Like, what are you guys thinking?
Oh my gosh. It's wonderful. So you
so
guys got a
there's-
lot of sandwiches. Everybody
Everybody-
better eat.
Everybody ate on that trip.
You're
Uh,
eating.
My other favorite place before we get to the actual story there is was Mankato. So Mankato used to have like a really nice like prime rib restaurant that we used to go to. And it was always funny because like, you know, like a lot of the girls, they had no idea what prime rib was. So like it would come out and like, it looks like it's still mooing, you know. And everyone's like, oh, no, it's not cooked enough. Like,
I remember not eating on that trip. I was like, this is disgusting.
everyone was complaining. But all the coaches and all the staff are sitting there at the table just chowing down. And but the real one was Wisconsin. So Wisconsin twofold, because it had a place that you would go in and they would have a freezer and you would like select the cut of meat that you wanted, and then you had to like legit grill it yourself. Like there was a grill in the restaurant.
Yeah.
So you would have to grill it yourself, and like same thing. The amount of girls that didn't eat because they undercooked or overcooked their steaks. Like, but again, like all the coaches are sitting there, they're loving it. They're just sitting around flipping steaks, like laughing at everybody. But also in Wisconsin was
Pizza place.
well, the pizza place,
Yeah.
was unbelievable after games. Even Minnesota, like as much as I hate to say it, like their food after the games was unreal. But Wisco had the cheese shop.
Yeah.
And that was Peter's favorite.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so Peter's from Sweden, so like he's all into like the cheeses and the wine and the pairings. And so like we would walk with Peter to this store and he would just go absolutely nuts in there. There was this little old lady, she worked there year after year after year, and like she used to love Peter and be like, oh, Peter would be like, what about this blue cheese? She's like, this one's a little bit stinkier. Like, what about this one? And like he would just sit there and he would just taste test these cheeses. And so he bought one trip, I think he bought like, and Peter, if you're listening, I'm sorry, but I think he bought like $300 worth of cheese. So I think it was like in between the first and second game, like in Wisconsin there, like they play in the afternoon. So like I think we won the first game. And so like we were having some cheese and some wine in his room, and all of a sudden it was like, all right, we're going to bed, whatever. And, wake up the next morning. I think we played at 2 and then we were leaving right after the game. And so after the game, we're like, I think we might've been on the plane already, like flying home. And I think it was Kevel or somebody was like, Peter, why don't you bust out some of that cheese? Let's have some. And you could just see like his face like went white. He forgot $300 worth of cheese in the refrigerator at the hotel.
Some cleaning lady had the best day of her life.
And we never ever let him live that one down.
I got a pretty good story when he went on the ice with his skater. It's a Bruno and Peter story. We used to practice at like 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. in the morning semester, like for whatever the first half of the year. And so like everyone's just like, like groggy. It's the dog days of whatever January, and we're all kind of buzzing around on the ice, and we kind of see I'm coming out and you see Peter and he's still in his like skate guards. I'm like, okay, maybe he's just like walking in them because protect your blades. And then it's like you're watching a car accident, you're like, no, Peter, like, and he just went right on the ice, feet up in the air, like Justin just fell so hard, like, and we're like, oh my god, like,
can we laugh? Do we not laugh?
Yeah, like, what do we do? Like, are we laughing? Are we checking on him? Like,
no one laughed
because I think he did walk out with his skate guards like he would.
Yeah, like
they had a long walk from the coach's room,
and that's like kind of like the European like thing. Like they walk out with their skate guards all the way till they get to the door, and then they take off their skate guards and got on. So like nobody thought anything different. And like so Peter, he's very like he loves to talk to everybody, and like in order to get to the ice from the women's side there, like you had to walk by the locker room, so you had to walk by all the players, you had to walk by Kevel's office, you had to walk by like Max's office, like you had to walk by everybody. So like he was like fully on a conversation with somebody and just boom, got on the ice.
That poor bugger.
Yeah.
But I don't want to one up you. But
oh god.
My best Peter story. I think that a lot of people, it'll be in their top 5. So we went to Clarkson one year and you weren't on the
Mhm.
team for this. We went to Clarkson one year, and it was like I think we were the number 5 team in the country at the time. They were the number 3 team. Like, it was a super big matchup, and like the travel to get out there was miserable because like you had to fly. I don't even remember. We flew into like Syracuse and then drove 2 hours, and then we ended up splitting that weekend, but we won the last game, which is always the most fun one to win. So we had to stay the night because we were flying commercial out, and we had a all-star crew with us. We had Darren Looker on the road with us,
Wait.
and his name is gonna blank me. The SID guy.
Marty?
Darren, or
No,
Ross.
Ross.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ross.
gosh, yeah.
And so Ross, he brought this NHL like 96 Sega thing. And he's like, hey, like, you guys want to have like a tournament? We're like, sure. But before, we're like, let's get a couple of drinks downstairs at the bar. So like we're all down at the bar, and like all the coaches were down there. And it was always funny at UND because like everybody always came down for a drink, and that's why everybody was like so close and so tight. And everybody would kind of disappear at their own times, you know. First it would be, you know, kind of Brian, like, okay, good night, guys. And then, you know, it's Peter, and then it's Fabes. And then like there was me, Jeremy, Kevo, and Darren Lucker. And we're sitting there, and all of a sudden we start looking out into the crowd, and it's getting like seedier and seedier. We're like, what is going on? It's getting rowdy over there. So we asked the lady, like, what is this? She's like, oh, it's like New York or Upper New York Bricklayers Christmas party. And we're like, whoa. And she's like, yeah, like we've had to call the cops like the last 3 years in a row. Like, and so
How
like
many Beanas were in the crowd at that point in time?
Oh,
Was it
yeah.
3 or 4 Beanas?
So like once we heard that, like, you know, like it was starting to get overtaken by like the bricklayers. So like, all right, like let's get out of here. So for us, like at UND, like our big drink was it was always Yingling, the beer. So like we took a couple of Yinglings up to the room, and we started playing this NHL tournament. Oh, we had Mitch Martinson with us too. And so we're playing this NHL 96 tournament, and then all of a sudden, like, we had the windows open, and we hear this screaming out in the parking lot. Like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden, a cop car wheels in, and then, you know, there's more screaming, and then all of a sudden you hear just zzz, and there's some guy getting tasered out in the parking lot. And we're like, oh my God. So, of course, like, naturally, like, a couple of us went down to the bar just to have a couple more drinks and just get a closer look. So mind you, like, long story short, mind you, it's like probably 2 o'clock in the morning now, but like we were flying commercial out of this place at like 7 a.m. So we had to get up for the bus 3 o'clock in the morning. So we get up for the bus at 3 o'clock, and everyone's a little hungover, and Peter is sitting right in front of the bus, and he was calling his family in Sweden, but we're driving through upstate New York, so there's no service on his phone. So he is yelling while everyone is hungover and all the girls are sleeping. Hello, hello, hello. And then like he would like hang up, and he would try again. And this went on for like 10 minutes.
Snapped.
Brian looks over, is like, Peter, hey, listen, a couple of the boys are a little busted up here, and the girls in the back. Do you think that you could wait an hour until we get into New York for a little bit better service?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, so
Oh, I'm sorry, Max. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, I was just gonna say that is my Peter story. That usually a lot of people, that's the one that we like to laugh about the most.
I feel like you're leaving out an individual that we'd all like to hear some good stories about. My neighbor, Mr. Fabian. You're somehow just skipping over any good Fabe stories.
We want to know. We want to know.
You would have more than me.
Fabes is
Yeah.
Fabes is the mayor. That's what we used to call him. So no, really, I saw Brian last 3 weekends ago. I was down for the St. Cloud camp just helping out, and we were laughing because he's like, hey, like he was asking me like, hey, what's this person's like father's name? And I'm like, how the hell would I know? I have no idea. But like we used to laugh because like that was Fabes. Fabes was a guy that remembered everyone's name. So like he used to like sit next to Brian, and like somebody like he would walk up with Brian and be like, hey, Dan, how's it going? And he'd be like, yeah, and then Brian would be like, oh, Dan, all right, here we go.
Yeah.
And he would start the conversation like, and Fabes, like, we, again, like, he honestly, we used to laugh at him too because, like, he was, like, the demonstrator of the drills.
Mhm.
Always,
100%.
like Coach and I were laughing at the rink.
100%.
He's the angling guy. He's the stick position guy. He's the guy that's demonstrating. He's shooting the puck from the blue line. Like, he's the guy that, like, he comes out from practice and it looks like he literally just practiced. Like, he's dripping sweat. Like,
he would like, well, he had to be like, I don't know what it is, and like probably like when he coached us because he was right out of, he played pro, right?
Yeah.
And then he worked for the hockey academy for a little, maybe a minute.
yeah, with
So when
Bradbury.
he came in, I think I can't remember my sophomore or junior, but he would legit like do the conditioning drills with us, like full go, like, and just like, I mean,
That's one thing I took with me
Yeah.
from Fabes to
same
pro
here.
hockey.
I used to condition with the girls. I've gotten away from it, but yeah, I mean, you have all the funny stories, but I mean, Dave is one of my favorite coaches. I'll pump him up a little bit, but I kind of took a lot of his attributes and transitioned them to my kind of coaching strategy as well. He was kind of the one to take you when you got your ass reamed by a Dolsky. He'd be like, okay, like, listen, like, you can come under the wing, like, okay, like, next shift you're gonna do this, like, it's okay, like, so he was always like kind of that guy. So we had a good bonding relationship, but
I don't want to get Fabes in trouble.
wow, boy.
No, Fabes was always good. Like he was always good for a couple beers out on the road, and like the one thing about Fabes is like he can talk about anything. You want to talk about hockey, like you can talk about hockey. You want to talk about women's hockey, you want to talk about men's hockey, you want to talk about the NHL, you want to talk about the KHL, like he can talk about all of it. You want to talk about, the politics in Roseau, like he'll talk. You want to talk about golf, Vikings, Twins, like he's dialed into everything. Like,
You want to throw Warroad under the bus? He's your guy.
You can tell him let's pick up the financial game a little bit though, because he's our financial advisor. So I'll put some heat on him for us. We're in the red here. We're in the red.
We could have him on for episode 30 as a rebuttal and maybe give out a few tips.
He could probably sell some good stories about us.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, Fabes has probably got some good stories about us. That's for
episode continuity. Max, I wanted to I have a goal. I want to get Kelly asleep so she can go to the cities early in the morning. Favorite THA camp story or parent or Margot, I guess you were at those camps too. Favorite of each.
I just remember like when we would work those camps in the summer and at the Ralph, those kids have those like long like pixie sticks. And they would just be like this and then whipping them with each other. And then you had to go on the ice. You're like, these kids are just hopped up on pure sugar. And I remember them, they'd be like slap. Do you remember those, Kyle? They were like this long.
Oh, yeah.
Like just pure sugar sticks. Like that's like ingrained in my head. And like I think the next year we banned them. We're like, the sugar sticks are not allowed. Like
kids get dropped off in the morning with $20 and
oh yeah. And they like just like handfuls of them. Like, yeah, let's go. Yeah,
so like my hockey academy is like unique because like I went through with everybody except for Brad and Fabe. So like I went through with everybody. So like I think the summer like camp that was like hockey academy that turned into like UND that was like tournaments and stuff. There was always the one mom that used to show up. She was pretty good looking. And
I wouldn't notice. I'm married.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm guessing that mom was not a cousin of Kyle's.
One strike.
But she she would do everything to talk to somebody that she thought was important at the rink, whether it was one of the players, whether it was one of the camp coaches, whether it was, like anybody inside the hockey academy, and it was like at the point, like you're like, oh, like maybe she likes me, I don't know. And then all of a sudden she's talking to so
To the next, she's on to the next one.
It's like, so like
Please.
that used to be the little running joke of the summer, because I think her kid came to the camp like 3 or 4 years.
It was till they aged out. We wouldn't take them anymore.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
we cut the 18U and she was devastated.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Please tell me the kid was doing snow angels on the ice the whole time.
She
But,
had two boys actually, and she brought them till they were too old to come.
My ultimate favorite UND or hockey academy one was that little satellite camp that used to be out in Devil's Lake or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember who started that or why it started. And like we used to go out west, and like the crew that used to go was like me and Eli and Deuce and Jeremy, and they used to put us up in this like little cabin like out on the lake or something. I don't remember where it was, but like it was just the guys hanging out, drinking a couple beers at night, the parents taking you out to eat, and then like going on the ice in the morning. And our group, like our coaching group from Hockey Academy, like the way that they branched out is like it's pretty cool. But it was cool because it would get to the point where it'd be like, all right, what are we gonna do this morning? It'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go on this end, you're gonna go on this end, do whatever you want. We'll meet back in the middle in 10 minutes here, and then we're gonna like you have the first drill, I'll take the next drill, and then we'll split again, and then we'll do a game. And then just to like see how guys like how we would play off of each other and do that. Like I always enjoyed that, and like that's always what we always talk about whenever we get the Hockey Academy guys together, is just like how, at times we would go out with no plan, but it would end up being some of the best skates of the summer, like just kind of winging it. So
Always a lot. I'm not sure if you were there for that when I was doing the intro to hockey of the young guys. At the end, we'd always play cops and robbers for 8 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
Remember that one? Like telling you to put the kid in the net. I had a dad call me after that and just ream me for 10 minutes about his kid not getting enough puck touches. Cops and robbers. And you're holding him back.
Do
I
better.
will say there was a former director, I won't name which one, but one of their go-tos was like, hey, whenever we get out on the ice, at least 5 minutes, you let them skate around and shoot pucks. Let them shoot around, let them stretch it out, let them feel like they're like one of the pro guys, And so then all of a sudden, you had your game of 10 minutes at the end, you just cut off 5 minutes with that. It's like, all right, all we need here is 35 minutes worth of stuff. We're good to go.
Kyle, I called you.
Oh, go ahead, Corey.
I called you one time and told you my kid wasn't getting enough puck touches, and you keep telling that story.
Just one time.
I should refund your $75 just for the anecdote, because I feel like I've told it so many times.
Oh, just wait though. Like, and you know what, Coach, I know that you don't do this, but there are agents that call and talk about that too. So like, it doesn't change whenever they get older. I can tell you that. So
Not during the season. No calls.
good. That's
less voices in your ear.
Yes, that was. I always learned to deal with that too. That was another good brutal honesty, was whenever the agent would call, hey, when is the last time that you watched so and so play? I haven't watched them this year. All right, well, watch their next 2 games and then call me back, and if you think what we're doing is wrong, then we can have a conversation. But the good agents like you guys, like you guys know. So
Well, on that note, I always like to end on a compliment, which doesn't happen very often. So, Kelly, go to sleep. Get ready. Get your fancy purses out and get ready. Maybe some Uggs.
It won't be enough. but I'm going anyway.
You put those odds right in their place. Yeah, Max and Margot, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it as always. Margot, you let us know what you'd like that your podcast differential to be, and we can keep it at 1. We can pump the tires. You let us know. And remember, try hockey for free April 21st and May 5th.
Yep.
Information GrandForksYouthHockey.com. And
Yep.
Max, you got to start watching 2011 practice and giving some critiques to Coach Fabes there.
Absolutely. Yes, I will go there with my pen and pad and start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck
Or if
up
you want to
this.
jump on the ice and hear a bunch of 12-year-old boys go bet.
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 I heard
That's cap.
Yeah.
I heard mid today. I got that today. But I have capped my age limit that I go out on the ice with, and 11s do not fall in that. So.
Well, they're not. They're are they 2011s or are they
2011. Yeah.
Okay.
That's still too young for me. Whatever age
Yeah,
that
well,
is, I'm old enough.
Give it some thought. My I fell during a goalie drill the other day, and my boy comes up, baby, you should just fucking quit.
And
No
Margot, I
respect.
expect you to show. Oh boy, Tom.
No, sorry, that was it.
Well,
I was gonna say, Margot. I expect Margot to show up at my house and try to convince my daughter to play hockey again. She
I was
can't
gonna
really.
say, I heard your daughter quit, so my ears kind of hurt. How old is your daughter?
She is 10.
We're okay. Like there's still
I know.
time.
She
Bring her
can't
to
shoot
bring her to
or
track
fuck
and
handle,
field.
but she will murder someone.
That's fine. Everyone needs a bruiser on their
you can
team.
find a job for that.
Plenty of space for that.
Need that. Bring her to track for free. We'll change your mind.
All right.
All right.
Thanks so much for the time, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yes, thank
Thanks.
you.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Night.
Yeah.